A very good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Thursday morning webinar series. I'm Chloe Tetro, the coaching lead. For this morning, we're having a really snappy, quick look at the underrated science of walking. I'm going to run through maybe about, no pun intended, I'm going to walk through about 4 of the main benefits of walking and why that is. And I'll just finish up with a quick look at how to make it work for you. So we'll look through the metabolic health, walking and blood sugar aspects. We look through the fat loss and muscle preservation aspect of it, walking and mood, and its link to being a natural antidepressant, longevity and disease prevention, and finally, with that, how to make it work aspect of things. So, walking. I suppose it's the most foundational movement there. It's basically starting with the basics. So walking isn't just a way to get to A to B. It's your fundamental biological signal to the body that we're alive and we're engaged with life. It's been called the closest thing we have to a wonder drug by Dr. Thomas Frieden, who's the former director of the CDC. So what does it actually do? So let's jump through the metabolic health aspect of things. So one of the most immediate and powerful benefits of walking is its effect on blood sugar regulation. I talk about this most of the time that I mention blood sugar, which is most talks that I do really. There's a 2022 meta-analysis. So that's a study of a number of studies is all that's meant by meta-analysis in Sports Medicine Journal. They found that just 2 to 5 minutes of light walking after a meal can significantly reduce postprandial blood glucose spikes. Postprandial just means after food. So any blood glucose spikes that would happen after food. If walking occurs even just a little bit, those dangerous spikes, dangerous rises in blood sugars start to come down. Now, usually, ideally, I would tend to say to people that are looking after their blood sugars, one of the best secret weapons out there is timing your walking. And if all you can do is get out for a few minutes a day, timing it so that it's after your meals is going to garnish far, far greater results. So in fact, walking for 10 to 15 minutes after a meal might lower your blood sugars by 10 to 22% compared to just sitting, i.e. not doing the walk. Now, if you can't, because your schedule, get out at those particular times, do not worry. You're still going to get the benefits of blood sugar lowering. It's just a more beneficial way of utilizing that walking time that you're doing. If you can do it out through your lunchtime, take a few steps around, car park, the site, the yard, your garden, whatever it may be, or after dinner walks. Really, really fantastic to get the blood sugar down. So with the blood sugar down, we're looking at things like safeguarding you from cardiovascular disease, weight around the middle. We're safeguarding against diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, blood pressure, lots of different things. So metabolic syndrome, pre-diabetes, polycystic ovarian syndrome for the ladies out there, it can extend to anyone and everyone from a metabolic perspective. So walking improves your insulin sensitivity, meaning your body will require less insulin to move the glucose into the cell. So that matters because, of course, the chronically elevated insulin levels are a massive driver of fat storage, inflammation, and hormonal imbalance. So fat loss and muscle preservation. So let's talk about the weight management aspect of things as a kind of focus for a second. So while walking might not have the immediate kind of burn of, let's say, HIIT training or a weight session, its sustainability and cumulative benefit make it ideal for long-term fat loss, specifically if you're new to exercise, specifically if you're elderly, you have some mobility impairments, or you've had previous injuries that would prevent you from taking part in specific exercises. So walking is a very entry-level way of getting yourself into fat loss and muscle preservation. So just 30 minutes. So we've gone from the 15-minute to the 30-minute. 15-minute is going to benefit your blood sugars. 30 minutes can burn around 150 to 200 calories, depending on your pace and your body weight. Of course, it's not all about calories, but you're going to get that lower in blood sugar and lower in blood insulin, which is going to help you to lose weight metabolically. As we said, once the insulin levels are down in the body, your body is no longer receiving signals to store body fat and to create new body fat. So we're working metabolically with the body, bringing down that insulin levels to get the fat loss and muscle preservation aspects of it. So walking at a moderate pace, so not putting yourself out, just walking at a pace that you can still hold comfortably a conversation with somebody. Now that depends how comfortable the conversation is the caveat I usually think there. But walking at a moderate pace for those 5 times a week for 20 to 30 minutes can lead to about 5 to 10 pounds of weight loss over the course of a year. Now that's without doing any of the changes in the diet. So just that in and of itself, through the metabolic look at insulin, blood glucose going down and getting a little bit more movement, getting a little bit more of the calorie burns throughout the year can bring down your cumulative weight. So even better, walking helps to preserve lean muscle mass during fat loss. So that's very, very important for metabolism, especially in women. So you want to be losing the right body weight. And when we talk about specific injectables out there on the market, or lots of kind of new pharmaceuticals that are flooding the pharmaceutical industry, there's no differentiation. If I could talk now, it'd be dangerous. There's no differentiation between muscle loss and fat loss with these particular products. Now, if you're doing something like cumulative walking, you're not going to lose muscle, and you want to hold on to muscle in your body. The number on the scale might come down if you're losing muscle mass and fat, but you want to keep your muscle mass up. Your muscle mass is going to help you to burn fat at rest. It's raising what's called your basal metabolic rate, which is your body's ability to burn calories at rest. So continue to work and use that fat around the body. It's also going to help with a number of different things. It's going to help you to prevent injuries. It's going to help you to prevent falls. It's going to help you to prevent lots of mobility related issues to keep your musculature strong and preserved. So walking and mood. By the way, if you have any questions, please do pop them in. I can see a few of you online at the moment, so don't be shy. If you do have any questions or comments, I'm more than happy to answer them. So here's something that, here's for something different. So walking can literally change your brain. So a 2021 review in Frontiers in Psychology journal found that regular walking improves executive function, your working memory, and your emotional regulation. So your ability to plan long-term is in your executive function. It's what helps you to have 2 options and decide and project, okay, which one's going to be the better one long-term. Your working memory, so that's your day-to-day tasks, and emotional regulation, basically being not flying off the handle when your jacket gets caught on a handle. So being able to feel in control of the trajectory of your life, being able to properly utilize your memory bank to make informed decisions projected into the future, and being able to feel in control of your emotional state day by day. Study published in JAMA Psychiatry showed that 30 minutes of walking 3 to 5 times a week, so we're seeing a pattern here of what the sweet spot is as effective as antidepressant medication in people with mild depressions. That's different than moderate and chronic and acute depression. For people that would report mild symptoms of being low, finding that they're not getting as much pleasure in their day-to-day activities, finding it difficult to enjoy, finding it difficult to be present in their life, there was a huge upsurge in their feel-good hormones. So walking boosts neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. So they're the chemicals that regulate your pleasure, your mood, and your emotional stability. So the things we were chatting about a while ago, feeling good in the moment, being able to feel stable, in control, not feel like you are a slave to your environment and your context, that you constantly have to respond and aren't in the driver's seat with it, or in the walking seat as the case may be, in the walking feet as the case may be. So a walk outdoors, especially in green and blue spaces, natural type of spaces, can lower cortisol, which is your stress hormones, and reduce anxiety significantly in as little as 20 minutes. So in other words, walking not only helps you think better, it actually helps you to feel better as well. That brings us to the longevity. So longevity and disease prevention. So zooming out into the big picture of things now, lifespan and health span. So massive study from Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health found that people who walk 30 minutes a day reduce their risk of death from any cause by 33%. Now, I don't have the particulars of that study, and I'd love to get into the nitty-gritty of it. It was, published and, in there with its reports. Now, the overall findings of that are saying a third, right, by a third. So in that, it's taking into account cardiovascular health, metabolic health, which are the primary factors for death at the moment, cardiovascular related death. And obviously, if the mood and depression aspect of things is better, hormones are better, it's going to really, really have a positive impact on your longevity. So the Nurses' Health study then showed that women who walk briskly for 3 hours a week, so we're breaking up that 30 minutes, cut their risk of heart disease by 35 to 40%. They're separate studies really just bolstering the findings that walking overall has a massive, massive positive impact on your longevity and the predictors for a long and healthy life. So how to make that work for you? You say, that's fine and good, but what's happening? What do I actually do? You've said a lot of different numbers here. I'm seeing 10,000 steps. I'm seeing 20 minutes, 5 minutes. How do we bring it together? So you don't actually need to walk 10,000 steps a day. And I did a talk on this a while back, which will be in our gallery of live videos if you want to have a look through. Basically, the 10,000 steps was a marketing campaign by a pedometer. And it was an Asian brand that had a word play on walking, pedometer, and 10,000 steps. The way that it translates was kind of quippy. It worked really well as a marketing campaign. Now, what study actually shows 3,000 to 4,000 steps per day, your basic movement, helpful for older adults or those starting out. Your 7,000 to 8,000 bracket per day, now that's where the magic is. That's associated with significantly lower mortality and chronic disease risk. So this is the sweet spot where you're going to get the lowered insulin response, the better metabolic response, weight loss. You're going to get better cardiovascular markers are going to move in the right direction, basically. That's in the 7,000 to 8,000 steps per day bracket. 10,000 plus steps per day is great for weight maintenance, mental health, cardiovascular fitness. Now, you are going to get these benefits in the 7,000 to 8,000 steps per day anyway. Now, when we're looking at this from a weight loss perspective and an insulin perspective, which when I mention insulin perspective, basically encapsulate things like blood pressure, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, hormonal health with polycystic ovarian syndrome, prediabetes and diabetes. When we're looking at the insulin resistance benefits, the metabolic benefits, you are going to start to get those in the 7,000 to 8,000 bracket. Anything above that, even better. Now, what I will say to you is more doesn't always equal multiplication of the effects, right? So if you did 8,000 steps and start to see your metrics moving in the right direction, doing 16,000 steps doesn't mean that you'll get times 2 the benefits. It doesn't really work with that like that. It's got diminishing returns. So the more you do it, the less it happens. Really, the kind of 7 to 10, 7 to 8 is when it starts to happen, 7 to 10 being the sweet spot. 10,000 plus steps per day. If you can do it, fantastic. That's going to have even better mental health outcomes and weight maintenance. It's not all about the numbers. And that's really the kind of major takeaway with this. The timing of this matters the most. Walking after meals, particularly after your dinner, walking in nature and walking in daylight to regulate your circadian rhythm, they all add tiramisu layers of benefits to this. So some ways to fit it in: walk after lunch or dinner, just 10 to 15 minutes, right? Getting that start in your day, building up that muscle, both metaphorically, i.e. the habit, and physically, as in getting more comfortable with walking. Do walking phone calls. I love to have family phone calls that usually I'd be pacing in the room on the phone. This is a good way to get a big chat going, or a chat with a good friend of yours. Get a big chat going. You'll notice that you're in your moderate cardiovascular zone because you're still able to walk. If you start, struggling for air, you're either walking too quickly or you're getting quite irritated with the conversation. And at that point, I'd say it's probably best to slow down on both avenues. Park further away than you usually would, try taking the stairs, all that usual advice, and listen to podcasts or audiobooks. I find it very, very difficult to just take off into the city, because unfortunately I don't live near nature. So if the surroundings where you're living aren't idyllic, if you're living somewhere else, getting the imagination going, listening to talks, if you're somebody that, yeah, look, music is grand, but I can listen to music at home, something that gets your interest. Now, the other aspect of it is walking. The left, right, left, right, left, right motion mimics what therapists sometimes use, a very, 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 very mild form of what's called EMDR therapy, which is bilateral stimulation. So both sides of your body stimulated, one after the other. And what that can do, psychologically speaking, is it can help us to untangle some thought process, some difficult things that we've been struggling with. That bilateral stimulation, left, right, which is how walking that's going well it usually is, that helps to kind of unravel points of difficulty, psychologically speaking. So a lot of people will use walking as a kind of type of meditative exercise where it's just walking with their thoughts and finding, can they come up with answers? A lot of people utilize walking as a way to untangle problems. So to sum up, walking is one of the most effective, accessible, and proven ways to improve metabolic health, manage weight, support hormones, reduce stress, and elevate your mood, which all leads to extending your life and your experience of your day-to-day life. It doesn't require a gym. It doesn't require a subscription. It doesn't even require a change of clothes. Let's be honest. Walking is not just walking. It's a really, really human medicine. So whether you're walking for your blood sugar, for your headspace, for your sanity, for creativity around problems, or just to kind of unplug, feel grounded, know that every step counts, which is my kind of cringy outro to today's talk. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, as always, please pop them into the questions and comments section. I always like to know that there are people out there in the ether. Have a lovely rest of your day, and we'll be chatting to you next week. Bye now.